Janjurani, Solka Abidali, Dilip Sadisai and Vishwanath. They make West Indies bowlers look like second-raters when those fellows came out here to bat. West Indies tried holder and keep voice. They had no other choice. They even tried with Newton Dow, but a short and sorry they bring him now. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. Desmond Lewis, also Charlie Davis, they take a little shame from out we face. But Sobers as a captain, he won plenty coaching before we cricket end up in a disgrace. Beatty here that he became a father, he catch out whole hog in the cover. But when Sobers here, he too had a son, he make duck and went back in the pavilion. It was Gavaskar, the real master, just like a wall. We couldn't out Gavaskar at all, not at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all. You know the West Indies couldn't out Gavaskar at all.
Good afternoon, listeners. Good afternoon to all those who are listening to us abroad. Most important, to the owners and managers of this great radio station, our producer, those of you who are on your way home and habitually listen to this program for information, sometimes for advice, and sometimes for decisions that sometimes are so critical for the country to operate. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to my fellow umpire here this evening, and as usual, we will have this show this evening. This show is the third umpire. I am Stephen Matheson, and with me is Mr. Ronaldo Rollock. And we are professionals in our own way, and of course we talk cricket. And when I say cricket, we use the cricket analogy to describe what is happening and to analyze what is happening in Trinidad and Tobago. So of course the batting side is always the government in office, and the fielding side the opposition. So today, as usual, different from no other day, we discuss the issues. And we also invite you to participate in analyzing the whole game. So Ronaldo, good evening. Yeah, good evening, and take us through.
Yeah, good evening and good afternoon all.
Something short in here, man.
Yeah, good afternoon. Yeah, good afternoon all, and welcome to another edition of the Third Empire. And there's an interesting piece of news where a 60-year-old woman was robbed of a licensed firearm, cash, and personal belongings during a violent daylight attack at a pharmacy in West Moorings on Tuesday. Police said the victim was about to get into her MG vehicle parked on the compound of Superfarm Pharmacy at around 1 p.m. when two men approached and robbed her of her handbag. The bag contained personal items including her firearm user's license, a Smith & Wesson .38 revolver loaded with 6 rounds of ammunition, $5,000 cash, and a car key fob. During the incident, one of the suspects pushed the woman to the ground, causing her to sustain injuries before the men fled east into the direction of a nearby fast food outlet. The suspects were men of African descent. One was brown complexion, etc. They gave the description. Following the robbery, officers of the Four Rose CID launched an intelligence-led anti-crime exercise between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. on Wednesday operations. The exercise conducted across the Western and Port of Spain divisions led officers to Simeon Road, Pity Valley, where the victim's handbag and personal items were recovered. 2 women aged 33 and 23 were arrested in connection with the investigation. Officers also carried out an extensive search of an abandoned house along Pitch Road, Laventille, where the stolen revolver and ammunition were recovered. No arrests were made at that location.
That was quick.
So several things coming out there.
Yeah, that was really, really quick.
Hats off to the TTPS. Hats off to the TTPS. We spare them no favors. We do them no favors here when we have to be critical. Yeah. And along with the critique must also come a balanced praise and commendation when they have done not just their jobs, but they have gone far and beyond. And as you said one word, it was quick. Mm-hmm. And that is obviously intelligence-led speed action. Mm-hmm. They would have saved many lives by that one action.
6 lives to start with.
Correct. 6 lives.
6 wrongs.
6 wrongs. So the officers who were involved, their names were not printed, and maybe for wisdom. But we have to give credit where credit is due. We want to say hats off to the TTPS and the officers of Four Roads who were involved in that recovery.
Producer, if you're listening, I'm not too sure what's going on here.
Yeah, who were involved with that recovery. We want to give them a special commendation, and hopefully things will all go well for them.
So the thing is, with when we see things like that happening, it certainly presents a sort of disincentive for would-be criminals to desist from doing these things, because clearly 2 women was detained, 2 women, and those 2 women might have led to the discovery of the firearm, because they found the handbag. Those women were arrested. They probably were in possession of it, and clearly they would have been able to give the police some information as to where they can find the gentleman, or the police probably know who the gentlemen are already, and they more than likely might be arrested at some point in time.
This story also reveals what we know already. Is a troubling fact, but that is the way the society is. That criminals don't act at random. Mm-hmm. Good. This lady was at Super Farm in Westmoreland. There's no way this was a random thing. These people knew that she had money and she was possibly armed. Good? How they came by that information is something for our police to find out or to probe. Because definitely we look at the good side of firearms and having been firearm FIU, a firearm user having FUL, license, but there's also the downside. You could also become a target for people who come by that information somehow.
But you think that no, you think they knew she had a firearm?
Of course.
Probably no. But she had $5,000 also in her possession, so they probably knew she had cash, and her firearm must have happened to be in her bag, so they get it one time.
Okay, well that's one possibility. But I leave.
But yes, I get it.
I will leave no stone unturned because it tells us it's not the first time somebody has been robbed of the fire. I'm hearing that they recovered it. Sometimes we never know what happens later down. But it's not the first time somebody's been robbed of the firearm. So we need to look at that whole process. And I want to put this on record for you.
When you say the process, I mean, like what? Giving people firearm?
Yeah. Is the process one that is confidential?
All right.
Is the process one that there are enough checks and balances so that, okay, something unfortunate happens and you lose your firearm? Are we able to tell if that firearm shows up again?
Of course.
You are hoping.
No, I mean, listen. When ballistics, when you get a firearm,
Yeah.
that firearm, and persons who are in the know could probably correct me.
Yes.
That firearm is traceable. There's run, there's do ballistic, there's do every firearm has something like a fingerprint.
I know.
On it,
Yeah.
So if you wouldn't get a firearm without the police doing that and having your firearm registered in the system, in that
Yeah.
system.
Right.
So if your firearm is stolen and somebody uses your firearm, it is very easy for the police to find out that your firearm was used and where it was used, right? So that's why sometimes long after a crime is committed, sometimes they find a firearm and they realize the firearm was used in a particular crime because that firearm is registered, and registered meaning that the ballistics of that firearm is also registered.
So, take into consideration what you've just explained, then that process and that procedure, you can go back live, is safe, taking into consideration what you just said. But the whole confidentiality of the firearm procedure and process is something we have to keep looking and making sure that it's foolproof. It may not be perfect in its entirety, but it's confidentiality and not secrecy, So let me tell you this. I was asking in conversation, I was talking about the whole procedure in the application with somebody who is a user. And they were explaining to me, in your home, your spouse supposed to sign. Correct? And we had a murder the other day, albeit they claiming self-defense, where it is claimed that there was a history of domestic abuse and domestic violence. Yet, that person got a firearm license.
Well, we don't know if the police knew that because she didn't say anything, but she took care of the situation anyway.
Yeah, but we were told in the newspaper that there was a history of police reports of domestic abuse. That is how the domestic talk came up.
And that could certainly have been after he already acquired
so then
a firearm.
All right. So then the question is, if it is what happens after, what happens?
Well,
Is it a one-take procedure? So, for instance, I issue you a firearm, right? And tomorrow, you get caught in a robbery. Were you trying to say one hand nothing to do with the other?
No, that's a different thing. But you see, you can't. It would be unfair to take away somebody's rights of having a firearm for an incident somebody would have reported when you would have already gone through the vetting process for that, right? I just say.
How could that be unfair? That's a safety measure.
Well, we don't know if
How could
that will have to be something.
But how could there be a report whether it happened prior or after.
So
Prior
so you're
says,
saying that because somebody reports something on you, that that it is that.
well, listen what should happen. It should be an investigation, okay, due diligence. But while that is going on, you think you should be still carrying a firearm? And if so, have I not contributed to what you may use or definitely use after on the person? If it ends in death, what is my responsibility? What is my culpability? Because the reports came in.
When I say
no,
my
they didn't
culpability,
came in.
the police or
Yeah, the police. No, it didn't come in before, right? So we married. Me and you married today, and everything was good. I get my firearm, you get yours. After that, we get a series of reports in the station. What are you trying to say? You don't get it ready, and we have to wait on the court to determine guilt for us
well, you see,
to suspend at least temporarily.
think about it. Think about the due process involved in this, right? So, and you are a person, you know what due process is. If I have a firearm, I went through what I went through to get my firearm, right? And Tom, Dick, or Harry went and make a report saying that I beat them up or I threatened them with my firearm or whatever. I think they should take my firearm because of that.
You should be. I think it should be suspended.
What should be suspended?
Your license,
Okay. Well,
pending whatever outcome it is.
so
Because here's what.
So then somebody wanting to just listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Somebody wanting to deprive me of the use of my firearm could just go and do that then.
No, but remember I said pending an investigation like normal due process. Remember.
You know how long an investigation is.
Yeah, but listen to me. Listen to me. In my view, you have to err on the side of caution. And the side of caution is, right, that the probability of you using that weapon on domestically on your partner, especially in that circumstances, is high.
Yeah.
We have the reports.
Yeah, but
no, it may never happen. It doesn't have to happen.
But think about it. What is the probability? You say probability, right?
Yeah.
What does the data say about people who are firearm users? What is the probability of that happening? How many people who are firearm or firearm users abuses that in that way?
All right, so look at the data on the opposite end. How many firearm related deaths?
That's a different thing. That's most of them deaths, and Gary Griffith would have indicated that most of them deaths is people who have illegal firearms.
No, we're talking about domestic violence here. I'm not talking about people robbing and shooting, and that is not people who get FUL.
Even that might be small. That domestic violence thing might be small also.
You think so?
Well, when last year that happened?
Besides the other day?
Besides the other day.
There was a police one involved last year.
Yeah, that's different.
At the end of the year.
That's different.
No, it was a domestic. It wasn't in terms of crime.
So you're saying even police officers who are firearm, you could go and make a report like that, as they usually do.
Yeah.
And take the police that are firearm, take away them from being a police.
It should be investigated.
I agree with you.
It should be investigated. The state has to pass a threshold of responsibility. Okay. And responsibility, I think, is that I have done something about it. But I cannot fail to do it because every Tom, Dick, and Harry might abuse it, which is true. You don't want people to walk in the station and say, listen to me, he will beat me up and he threatened to kill me, whatever. People make spurious claims even without firearms. And that is so. And you would trust law enforcement to be able. But I'm talking about the risk. The risk to the other person, the risk to the wife, the risk to the person in the home, the risk to the unarmed person who is maybe in a relationship or especially in a domestic. And I want to stress on a domestic scenario because we're not talking about some old bandit from down by you finding that you getting on too bad. So they go and because people falsify reports. So we know people just fabricate things all the time. But I'm telling you to look at it through the lens of a domestic scenario.
But if again looks all the time, even whether with a firearm or not, I mean, you should want to report that or get out of that situation.
Yeah, but I'm asking you, what do you think should happen if you are a firearm user and a domestic abuser? You are saying nothing should happen to your firearm, and I disagree. because that position of trust and empowerment that you are placed in, a firearm user's license is something of serious responsibility. That is not, you're not a sheriff, you know.
It is.
And then a certain character lines it up. We're not talking about thief, you know. It is aligned to a certain type of character and characteristics and values and responsibilities. It is not for every and anyone, or it should not be like that. So I'm just saying that I hope we have stricter processes in place, given the things that have been happening with licensed users, whether it be stolen, whether it been used on them, because this situation, it was used on demand. Good. It is alleged he fired off. We don't know how much the truth of that. We ain't get the truth of that. But given the incidences that have been happening, I hope we take stock and we are proactive, and that is what the law has to do. The law can't wait till 10 people dead in a house, or 10 men kill 10 women, or vice versa, women kill men. Good? The law has to be proactive in terms of putting more safeguards and safety measures in place, because you know, anybody who owns a firearm will tell you it's a powerful thing mentally.
It is a very powerful.
Mentally.
Firearm is like a baby, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't forget it.
Yeah, and mentally. Remember, we are giving you a certain measure of judgment and everything when we give you that, you know. You know, you can't be a show-off Tom. Any show-off Tom can't just, you understand?
Right.
So it is a serious thing, and even with law enforcement, where they have to use it in the line of duty, it is also a serious thing. Their responsibilities are no less, and we see that in the last Samuel killing. Not because it was a police matter.
What happened? What with that matter?
Well, we don't know. It is maybe in the
DPP?
that place where everything goes to await something to happen. We don't know. The due process. You just mentioned the word. Due process. But we are coming to a break. And on the other side of the hour, we will engage the pavilion in this discussion. So stay tuned on the Third Empire for more.
And you join us
After
and
the
maybe
break.
we can take your calls after the break.
Yes.
Peace of God be multiplied unto you in the precious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. This is Redemption Hour, a gospel program where God will reveal His mind to you on how to live a fulfilled life and to please Him in all areas. Join Pastor Falabi, the National Overseer of Deeper Christian Life Ministry, Trinidad and Tobago, and other seasoned ministers for a time of divine encounter as they minister and pray for you every Saturday by 9 o'clock in the morning of this station, Street FM 91.9. Our church is Deeper Life Bible Church, number 1 Cochrane Street, opposite Tunapuna Police Station, Tunapuna. The times of our services are as follows: Sunday worship service, 9 a.m., Monday Bible study, 6 p.m., Thursday revival hour, 6 p.m. The Redemption Hour is a life-changing moment you cannot afford to miss. For special prayer or counseling, contact Pastor Femi Afolabi on 778-9933. God bless you as you listen to this program. Jesus is Lord.
What are you doing?
Big D, big fun, TMC, so we big on the ground. We big nation, cause they don't know we were the crown. Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Come to KFC, let we hold our vibe, and let we join together, because
KFC is life. It's a big deal. Say what you want. KFC, so we lead in front. Big deal. We are Big Nation, TNT and KFC. One motion. Big deal.
Wrap up your Thursday the right way. Twister Thursdays. 2 twisters for just $54.95. Loaded, saucy, finger licking good. One bite and you know it must be KFC. Order now. Follow KFC Trinidad and Tobago WhatsApp channel for all the deals.
TechFlex TT Limited, the #1 computer store in Trinidad and Tobago, has all your tech needs. We have the latest computers, powerful MacBooks, and affordable Chromebooks for school and work, providing new and refurbished options to suit everyone's budget. Also, we carry a variety of printer options and ink solutions for your home and office needs. Need repairs done? Our experienced technicians can solve your tech problems. Visit us now at any of our 2 locations, Wilson Road, Scarborough, next to Royal Castle, or Penco Street, Montrose, Chagonas. Call 235-4919 for more info. TechFlex TT Limited. Affordable tech. Exceptional service.
Blessings in the wonderful name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. You are invited to listen to the Final Hour broadcast heard every Monday
from 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. in the morning on the Street 919 FM.
Hear my mom, Pastor Helen Garcia, and myself, Pastor Valentine Garcia Jr., preach the Word of God to the elderly, youth, and children. We can be contacted at 629-0113 or 623-8444. The church is located at 26 Prince Street in Port of Spain. We look forward to you joining us. God bless you.
As my life I lay it on the altar, as my life.
It's a whole lot of flavor wrapped up in a twist. Some of them try to rap, but they don't rap like this. Because the KFC tenders and lettuce and carrots and shredded tortilla embedded, perfect wherever you headed. Dripping with that creamy mayo and that mambo sauce. Let me tell them one more time to get my point across. It's a craveable, crunchable, movable, functional, flavorful meal that your taste buds must endorse. KFC, crunch twist, crunch twist. None of them, they don't make it like this.
Introducing KFC's Crunch Twist, a flavorful wrap with a delicious difference for just $29.95. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, we are back. And we were just discussing the incident where the lady was robbed at robbed of her handbag somewhere in Westmoreland, and the speedy response of the police, congratulating also the police officer that was involved in that that incident of recovering the property of the and possibly solving that particular crime. The question always is what leads people to doing these kind of thing, and what is happening now that I'm talking in this era that is probably, and I don't want to say pushing people, but giving young people, I should say, the feeling that they can, because we are seeing more and more that the police are almost solving these kind of situations very easily or quickly. So the question must be, what will give you the feeling that you could go out and do this? And what might be the push factor? What is pushing you to do that?
Yeah, it is. It appears to be quite brazen. The types of robberies we've been seeing. Quick action acts as a deterrent. We do know that the police can't be everywhere and anywhere at the same time. So there is to be a type of coordination among law enforcement for it to be effective. They are experts in their field. That's not my field. So we would leave that be. But is the vetting process, as you mentioned, should the vetting process be a one-off process with renewal, or should it be constant?
Just so that the persons who just come on to the program listening understand what we're talking about here. What vetting process you're talking about here?
I'm talking for you to obtain your firearm user's license.
And you're saying that because...
So we understand that...
In the robbery, the lady had a firearm and she lost it.
Yeah. And we are talking about the domestic situation, right? So I am saying we understand all that is done, the rigorous process prior. That being said, we are talking about post-possession. Should there be constant checks?
You see, that will be a whole breakdown of and you asking the police to do things that even that should be done even for the police. You're asking for a whole regime of I don't know how to explain it, but you're asking for something that certainly the government or no one will have the resources to do. You know how many people have firearms? You know how many people have licensed firearms in Trinidad and Tobago?
Are you trying to say that accountability should not be part of the process?
No. There's already accountability.
So how could there be accountability if there's no post-possession accountability?
No, well,
police have a certain things because
accountability.
So
you had to update your registration. You have to do a lot of things when you have a firearm and you own a firearm.
Right.
So what more are you saying that except of course somebody report that you beat them up or you threaten them with a firearm or you do domestic violence using a firearm and that kind of thing. Outside of that, what more you want? It's just like a vehicle. It's just like owning having a driver's license.
You think it's that simple?
Doing probably having to do a defensive driving course or whatever. You had to go on the range. You had to shoot. You had to enroll in certain kind of class.
So are you saying that you are satisfied that the responsibility of the state or whoever is issuing these things should be a one-off process? Something like a gun?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that from my understanding of it, there's already all of that.
No, I don't think you're correct.
Okay. So
I think what exists are regimes of registration. I'm not looking at that. That is, we know you come on and you come and renew your license.
No,
I'm talking about.
You had to go on the range. You had to provide proof that you do the training and all that.
Right.
Kind of thing.
But I'm talking about in between, especially in light of instances of reports made against you.
Like what? Okay. Let's take reports. Let's take all that because
we're talking domestic.
Right, domestic violence.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I agree with the fact that if domestic violence, maybe it should be investigated and with a certain degree of haste and that kind of thing. But outside of that, what is it that you get my firearm and then my life become miserable because I have a firearm, so you have to check me every day?
No, that's not miserable. That's being responsible. Because I could issue a firearm today. You pass all the tests and you do a registration and everything. But you start to live a different type of life. You start to live a life that is a compromise to others. Remember the premise on which you were issued the firearm. You were issued the firearm on a particular type of premise.
To protect yourself?
Exactly. But if it can be evidenced that by actions that is not so, why should we wait on it? Let me tell you why. There was a school shooting in the States not too long ago in the US where the boy's father was charged for second-degree murder. And the premise of him being guilty, first time ever, a father has been found guilty, right? But the argument from the prosecution was that there were enough signs telling him that the boy, now remember, it's not a rights questions because you could buy one.
Yeah, but that could still, that's something that could still happen here without legislation or without any kind of anything happening. What I'm saying is that, from my opinion, from my knowledge of this whole thing,
Yeah.
there's already the checks and balances. You remember you're giving somebody who's supposed to be responsible
Right.
a firearm because they would have gone through a vetting process and a number of things, barring the fact that some people buy it and that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, you
right?
can't stop that.
You can't stop that.
No.
So my question would be, what other safeguard you want to put in place when really and truly you don't even have the history of you don't have enough data to say that people with firearms abuse it and that kind of thing. What other in the first place is a risk for you having a firearm and letting other people know you have a firearm.
Correct.
Which
is what we start by saying.
Is that serious risk?
We started off by saying that the exposure, if this information is not confidential, it puts the person at risk.
So it's a serious risk having. When people have firearms and nobody knows they have firearms.
Yes.
Right?
And they're legal owners. Yes,
right?
which is how it's supposed to be.
Right, which is how it's supposed to be.
Yes.
So then you will have to be a real clown to do the things you saying they should be persons should be protected against by the police by excessive vetting.
No, I don't think it's protective against by the police. I'm talking about the system of issuance and how we govern the whole issue. You maybe not get the police. You didn't need police
it's done already very, very bureaucratic.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, that is pre. I'm talking about post-issuance, meaning after you have it. You don't need the police to get involved. If you have, for instance, all right, let us take for training. If you set up a regime where a particular type of training is mandatory, not optional, that's a check and balance. That don't need police. So if you introduce that, listen to me, you would have had to get this training every year. We saying every 6 months. That is accountability. That is a check and balance. Good. So something might have happened between now and July, and we'll pick it up. We will pick it up because you have come back in for another regime of training or etc. The data, the information we could verify. As it stands, maybe it's a year. So there are things that you can do that, to me, have nothing to do with being more onerous. I'm asking you if, in terms, especially in domestic scenarios, especially, because I don't want to widen the discussion beyond domestics, because the other circumstances, any Tom, Dick, and Harry could succumb to. You don't really have to be special. But in cases where it's you and your spouse or you and your girlfriend, and even in law enforcement, because they are no different.
Well, okay. So the situation with the lady.
Yeah.
That could happen to any firearm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's not a domestic scenario.
Anybody with a firearm could lose their firearm that way.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. It could be concealed or anyhow. Nobody will have to know you have it, and you could lose it by a robbery or something like that. No fault of yours.
Yeah.
You would have done everything you had to do, you were supposed to do, and you still lose your firearm. Right? That can happen. Persons with firearms all know that you treat a firearm like a child is probably, even because there's a lot of things that are very onerous. You had to have a safe, you had to have certain things, you had to lodge your firearm if you're going out the country. You have a number of things you had to do. So the thing is, outside of that, there are still situations where somebody could take your firearm, you could lose your firearm, you could be subject to a robbery, anything, just like what happened to the lady. I don't know if somebody knew that she had a firearm, but I doubt that, right? I doubt that. Maybe if they knew she had a firearm, they might have approached her differently, or they might not have approached her, right? her firearm probably was in a handbag concealed, and they robbed her for her handbag knowing that she had money in it, or seeing that she went in a fast service or something, or seeing her use money by cashier or whatever, and they decided to, as an opportunity, to do that. The good thing is they found it back.
Yeah.
And maybe the police act in the way they act as quickly as they act because a firearm was involved. I don't know. But the fact is they found it back. I don't know if we need something more for firearm users. And maybe persons who listening know that may know more than me could probably call in and tell us if we may need more than what currently exists to protect the public from people who have firearms.
And to protect the user too, because we are assuming all the things are in place, all things being equal. So we are assuming that this information is highly confidential.
And not only that,
because sometimes it has been noticed that firearm people become targets. Then this is not the first time nor second time. I've read many times where people have been relieved of their firearm, and not by, they didn't even get chance to kick in.
right?
Good.
Yeah.
So
and killed as a matter of fact.
right. So we have to understand that the criminal network is doing research just like everybody else.
Right.
Just like how they know you have $5,000 in there. That is not guesswork.
But you know something? I'm a data person.
Yeah.
For me to even consider as a professional making a decision like, doing whatever review or having any significant concern, because there are a lot of people with firearms in Trinidad and Tobago, legal firearms, I would want to see what the data say about the misuse of firearms by legal firearm owners. And I don't think, I think for you to reach to the point of owning one like that, there are a lot of things that are very onerous, or that you could make jail for with a firearm.
No, but you see, you are making some assumptions, and I think you should be careful in making those assumptions, because we have heard enough concern about people who own firearms, how people acquire firearms. That has been in the public domain. It has not been a strict procedure from commissioner. We hear about lists and who get on the list and who get off the list. So you make it seem that it has been issued to everybody responsibly.
And maybe that is what we should be talking about.
Well, all of that comes with stricter vetting and processes.
Right, that's what we should be talking about, because a man should be able to get a firearm because he has $60,000 to pay for it. A man should be able to get a firearm because he have a need to have one to protect himself.
So all of that are stricter processes. So that's what I'm asked. I asked at the beginning if we should have stricter processes. Do we feel that our processes are strict enough? Because as you just pointed out, we've heard of many cases where money seems to be the criteria, and really not responsibility.
Right, so I agree with you there.
Right. and that
I always want to talk about that.
And that to me is just the beginning and the end of the concerns that we might have going down the line. Because you have to start with access. How do people get it? We know there's a procedure in place. There has always been one. We know it's not a willy-nilly walk off the street. Good? If we look at the data, we ask how many poor people have firearms.
Right.
Right? And let's take it from there.
And then somebody might ask, why will poor people need firearms?
Yeah.
And that's
good. And then people ask us to define poor. Good. So that's why I don't want to use those type of arguments that are cyclical. Right? I'm just asking it, given the incidences of crime or death involving legal firearms, not illegal ones. We get the illegal ones every day. That has nothing to do with the state control. The state is not in control of that totally. Good? We're talking about what is under the state control.
So far,
meaning the gun owners
So far we've been seeing,
Yeah.
because I haven't been hearing about people who have legal firearms in robbery and that kind of thing.
Yes.
But so far we've been seeing persons who have legal firearm either protecting themselves,
Which is good. Or helping.
Right.
Because there was one a man was
Yeah,
helping. Yeah.
protecting
A
themselves.
police who was plain
or
clothes was
losing
helping the
their
other day.
firearm as a result of robberies and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So we've been hearing about that. And that is what it was designed for. That is what you get it for.
Yes.
So maybe,
And that's good usage.
right? So maybe, you know, if you do have a mischief, you don't need to put more laws.
No, nobody's talking about laws, Sim. We're talking about regulations, we're talking about procedures. It doesn't have to be a law. We don't have to go to parliament. It doesn't have to be some onerous. We have procedures for doing things. You have a procedure for acquiring these things. They're operating procedures as well, apart from what the law says, right? And a mischief, to put it like how you use it. For me, that's subjective. It depends on where you sit. It may not be the 1 to 10 burning issues in the country. It's worse at international. Let's have a war in Iran. You know, there are things that top the list. But especially in delicate scenarios, as in domestic scenarios, you will not want to wait till the number is 500.
So I hear that. And I you know, I agree. Listen, I'm not
Yes.
disagreeing with you with
Yeah.
the domestic violence thing, because you have, in this case, it was a domestic violence situation, but it was the victim, the usual victim, end up being the victor. The thing is, you're correct. You're correct in identifying.
We've had enough.
You're correct in identifying.
We have had enough instances where we have read police officer shoots wife, kills herself, soldier or prison officer or etc. or other user, because we don't want to specialize in law enforcement. But they carry a greatest risk because they have greater access, because they use it as part of their work.
And it's not concealed.
And they have greater authority, right? Good. I am not sure about their vetting. I can't speak to that, right? You know, you join the police force, to me it's part of your uniform, as far as I am concerned, whether it's personal or otherwise.
Right. So that's why I say that that's a different classification of-
Did we have the data before? The police reports, the social worker reports. Did we have the data before? Did we have it? That tells us Stephen was kind of going off. We have it here. Look, we have 4 beatings here. And then his wife came to the station. Now we reading, she's already dead. But and when we check the social officer, I went down there a couple times but we make that hush. Did we have no? You and I will speak because we don't have access to the data. But that is not to say that we don't know that it exists, because especially in domestic violence cases, you always hear post-death, boy, they must having problems.
I don't know if, and this is our next thing. So I don't know if so you live in, they have a repository of all information on firearm users and that kind of thing, right? Yeah. I don't know if that is data that when you go and somebody go and make a report in the police station on you, that the police automatically know that name, that person have a firearm. I don't know that. I don't think that exists. Right? Deeper investigation might find that out, but somebody might call us and tell us, hey, that exists.
No, but remember, in a domestic scenario, you had to get the person permission.
Yeah, but you might have married me, they come to me or come around me after I had that long, years after I have that.
Okay. Right? All right.
Let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Yes, good afternoon. With all due respect, I would just like to say, Kingsley, you need to try and talk a little less and let the program go. I ain't saying don't talk, but when others talking, give them a chance to talk. Have a good evening.
Nice. Okay, good. Thanks.
What are you talking about?
I don't know.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if it is post a marriage or relationship, once the information comes, right? So you were not involved with Stephen when he got his firearm. You just met him yesterday. All right. You didn't know that. Nobody asked you. You also had to live together. How many reports should there be in the station about Stephen from Giselle, you and Giselle living together, until the police steps in and say, well, when we check the registry, now she could say whatever she want because she could lie and say he have one. When we check the registry, he's a firearm user's license. We need to have a conversation with Stephen. He needs to bring in that firearm, and we need to have a conversation with him.
I agree with you. But what I'm saying,
For me, that is preventative. It doesn't take money. It doesn't have to be 100 people, because if it's 100 and 500 people, then it will become too onerous. So by the other extent of your argument, the fact that it's few people says that it's manageable, because it's not everybody have one. Good?
Right.
And we know who they are. You have to get a registered list.
Right.
So matter of fact, if the wife comes or the girlfriend comes and say Jason have one and Jason not in the list, that is also a problem.
Right. So the first.
So you're being preventative.
The first thing about that is.
Yeah.
When you go to the police station to report that, we don't know. I don't know if the police have when you report the name and the person.
Yeah.
You report the person. If the police
Have access.
Have access to that information, one.
Right.
And two,
That's
if there's a question that they ask. Right?
No, that's what you reported. I'm saying she came to report that.
But if she report that you have a license firearm, that's a different thing.
Yeah. So no, we're talking about things known, because the police don't know what they don't know. So I'm just asking if we are satisfied. I don't know how the public would feel, because we don't know all the measures that exist. Good? What we know is what we read. And what we have read time and time again is this officer or this officer or this other person use the firearm on themselves or on their spouse, ending in death. It is not everybody, and out of all the holders, I'm sure it's not even half. Because as you say, there are many people who have it who you just don't know. Not even a percent, right? But I am suggesting that I am not sure of how our control regimes are. I am suggesting that we don't wait till we do have a problem, because remember, there's legislation now where we will have more owners because of our home invasion legislation. So you have more owners now.
Not necessarily.
Well, they have more access.
Because the rules haven't changed in regards to acquiring one another.
Yeah. I agree.
The law have changed with regards to protecting itself.
And usage.
But acquire and usage. But
right.
Acquiring one, it's still difficult to acquire.
Yeah. It's not.
You still have to pay $60,000 to acquire.
You can't just walk off the street. I agree. But
And that's what we should be talking about, changing.
Well, all of that is access. But I'm saying that access might remain unhinged and unhindered without circumstance, because as you started off saying before, what circumstance that will permit us to abrogate your rights? There must be circumstances that create a scenario where we have to abrogate your rights, because it is your right as a citizen to own, right? However, no right, as we know, is exclusive, right? If we have the little data before, that should tell us something. Sometimes we don't have it before. You was a good boy before you meet the girl. Maybe she bring out the bad in you. Good. Right? But now that we having the reports, and I'm starting from the reporting stage, and I'm going all here simply because these things for me are more preventative. We could do more in the preventative stage. After that, crapo smoke we pipe. Good? And your heart goes out for for me, both people, when I hear the Ghani issue, good? Because to say there was a history of domestic violence, we are not too sure.
Something about that.
A man is dead. Children are without a father. It is said and alleged that there was a threat made to the life of the lady. So I don't know how she feels. You know, now some might feel that she jumping for joy. It may not be necessarily so, because the children have lost their father, whatever the circumstances are. And if it is she was enduring all these hardships all the time,
somebody in the home must have known,
and things stayed the way they are, that points us to another problem. Because then we have all these volcanic relationships with firearm users. That is not something you want. Better only fight it out in the road like we see on TikTok. But if you have all these domestic volcanic relationships, and they're ones who, remember, two categories of people, people who went to get their FUL, people who are not members of the protective services, and members of the protective services who are, let me just finish, like we discussed on this program, highly stressed, working 48, that car parked up by your house for the last 3 days. You keep hearing it.
Let me take this caller. I want to say something after this caller. Good evening, caller.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, caller.
You know, that same person that you all are talking about, there was a son who died, who the wife shot him. You know, there's a video with him pointing a gun over his wall and shooting a guy.
Yes, we could. You saw it? You saw it, caller? No, we didn't saw it. Somebody called in and said, tell us about it.
Yeah, there's a video with the same gentleman who was killed. He came over his wall. He saw a gentleman in the road, but the man was looking to, the video looked like the man looked like a vagrant, like a vagrant, a street dweller, and he just pointed the gun over the wall and shoot the man and kill him. Now, I know one of the reasons to obtain a firearm is to show that one of them is to show that your life was threatened, or you are being threatened. But the man over the wall who was shot, he was no threat to him. I mean, the video shows that the man wasn't cussing him. The man was just outside the wall, and he just came, look over, saw the man. I don't know, in some way he probably felt threatened, but the video don't show that the man in any way was a threat to him. And even that, you over your wall, and you still shoot him and kill him. So that can't understand that at all. Okay, gentlemen, have a good evening.
Yeah.
Good evening.
But listening to that, even that is, if that's the case, you know, karma is a bitch.
Yeah.
And you know, some people believe in karma.
Yeah.
Maybe that is a straight case of karma. But I want to say something. You know, we talk on this program all the time about the battered woman syndrome. Picture this. So I have a firearm.
So now you monitor it on the board. You monitor. No, monitor. Yeah, turn it down a little. Yeah, go ahead.
So I have a firearm.
Yeah.
Right? And I just take advantage of you. I'm beating you up all the time.
Yeah.
Right? You don't think I might be one of the person who say, if I can't have you, nobody else can't?
Yes.
And you might take that as real and serious, knowing that I just take advantage of you and that kind of thing.
You should.
And I wouldn't say anything.
Yeah.
Well, so that's probably what might be going on in a lot of cases. If I can't have you, nobody else could. I have a firearm, you know I have a firearm.
And there should be a process that allows me to not just report, because if I report it and go back home, I might be endangering myself. Something should happen, just like what the caller just said. If there's video evidence, whether the man died or not, and everybody's the second caller that said he shot somebody just like that. The day after, he should not have that firearm.
Well,
pending whatever investigation. That is an obvious and clear indiscretion.
Now, you realize who this person was, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? You realize when this person died, you remember the Minister of Homeland Security said that only a few days ago he was on the range with him.
Right.
He knew him as he spoke as though he knew him well.
Right.
He was well known to him, and he didn't know that all the things that they said about him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
So put all of that into the pot.
Yes.
So you would understand what is going on.
Yes.
Right?
Well, there will always be unknowns. Right? There will always be unknowns, and as I say, police can't know everything and they can't be everywhere. So we are dealing with scenarios where reports are made. We also discuss that some reports could be fabricated, some could be truth. The fact is, what I'm asking for is that once any report is made, something should happen in the interim, especially in a domestic scenario. Good? Something should happen. No, I ain't say put you in jail. We ain't say you're locking up. But remember, you carry a powerful weapon. Now, we can't take a risk with, as a society, as a nation. We can't take a risk for you to go man in your feelings. Remember.
Man carry powerful weapon with that oil in your house, man, it could get hot.
Cement in your food.
Cement in your
Don't
food.
get nobody no idea.
Oil, you remember, a pot of hot oil, more dangerous than a fire, man.
Yeah. And I want to put it, no, we're being very cynic in it, and we're going to open up the lines. The number to call is 3420081 4665391. Look at workers in law enforcement who are highly stressed. Highly stressed.
And knowing a car back up.
That car working surveillance by you. Days now. Things ain't going good. You on patrol, you hear she down Fifth Street on the avenue. The reports coming in, Sarge. Boy, it have a little thing happen. Well, we calm it down. But yeah, his wife came in his station. The information coming in. How much of those reports we have to take until we hear? Well, boy, he couldn't take it no more, He couldn't take it. Last straw. The last straw principle. So I'm saying that even for their own protection, because sometimes we feel we're stronger than we are. You're working 48, you ain't get no back pay. They bypass you for promotion, and you just hearing about this vehicle that working surveillance by you. Right, true.
Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon. Again, I would like to say, please, when the conversation going on and callers talking, Kingsley, please give them a break and let them talk now. We calling for the own views too. All right, have a good evening.
We ain't too sure what
yeah, but good advice, caller. Good advice. Yeah, so they're workers, they're a category of workers, albeit in law enforcement, who carry firearms legally. They're legally entitled to. Some of them have their personal weapons, but are highly stressed because of their job or whatever is going on, and have serious domestic issues. It's not everybody, but that is a volcanic situation. We can't be in everybody's house. We can't be in everybody home. But where we have the data, we have the reports in the station, where we have the reports from the wife or the children that there are incidences of threats or violence, should that person still be carrying a firearm?
That's a question that will have to be answered at some point in time. But
and it don't have to be a permanent thing. We ain't saying take it away and put it behind a desk or whatever. But we're trying to protect you and protect the family. Remember, real people involved here. We have children here. We have wife. We might have family members. And I don't want to impute motive on the person, whether it be a man or a woman. But we know they work in very highly stressed environments. Highly stressed. And the hours. I don't know why it's to go to work Monday and come on Wednesday. I don't know about that.
I take this call. Good evening, caller. Caller, good evening.
Yeah, good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Okay. What criteria do you have to go through to get a firearm, like background check?
Yeah, well, the police station close to you would sometimes have to come and do the investigation. They have to talk to your neighbors, they have to talk to your wife, your family, and then the recommendation goes up, and then of course, you know, a number of other things happen.
But let me ask a question though.
So you have to do a psych also.
Yeah?
You have to do a psych also, and
right, but
you also have to go on the range.
Okay. So let me ask this question though. If you have children that raise under your supervision, you know, family, and some in prison, some commit violent crimes and stuff like that, you ever report or never report it? You understand?
Mm-hmm.
You think you should be qualified for a firearm?
Well, you didn't do anything, so I mean, why you shouldn't be?
You didn't do anything, but you would have been a criminal because listen, I don't feel a child could grow up by me, and I don't know about that child. I wouldn't even say the child grow up by me. I want to say if I have a child even outside, I have to be responsible and know something about that person. When they were going to school, when they leave school, and certain things. If they like school, if they don't like school, I must know something about it. Whether it's the child living in my premises, or let's say the outside child.
Well, those things may not, those things may not necessarily fall within the criteria to get a firearm, you know, it will depend on what
in my opinion
shows up.
My opinion, you're not a responsible law-abiding citizen, and we talk about. But in my opinion here, but my criteria for getting a firearm is going to be a stressful one. You don't qualify so easy. I'm telling you. No, you just won't qualify so easy.
Maybe that's why I have so many people with illegal ones. You ever thought about that?
Huh?
Maybe that's why
well, they will have to have
people with illegal ones.
They will have that illegal one because you have to be a really responsible person to have a firearm.
But yeah, the ones with illegal ones, and they aren't responsible.
No, they're responsible. They break the law one time. They are now break immediately, but the minute I take up an illegal firearm, I know whether I'm violating the law. You know? The minute I walk with that down the street, I know if our officer stop me, what am I going to say? Well, it's an illegal firearm. I mean, to say, you understand? I don't know how much jail did I get for that down there. I know in New York City, it used to be 1 year mandatory sentence for illegal firearm. I mean, unless it's a shotgun. Yeah, that might be 25, but you know, but pistol and thing used to be 1 year mandatory. Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Later.
So Ronaldo, would you say, or do you ever consider that because of the stringent measures, what you had to go through to get a firearm, that a lot of people don't even worry to apply for it? And a lot of people who probably might need a firearm or should have a firearm, do have one, may not ever get one because of that, and don't even bother to think about having one. Or may get somebody get somebody with an illegal one to protect them or something like that. You see, the system had to be, in my opinion, the system it have to be equal, have to be fair for persons across the board, rich, poor, everybody. And therefore, you see that thing where we hear, I mean, nobody will say that it's a hidden rule that you had to have some money or you had to pay for a firearm, you had to pay 60, 70,000 or 100,000 for a firearm. Then it would mean that people who may really need to have one may never ever be able to get one. And we saying this loosely because that is not the rule, right? You can purchase, if once you get the okay clear to purchase a firearm should cost you anyway, I think it's between $10,000 and $12,000. But just to get a license for some people to get it, to be able to carry it. Some people, there are a lot of stories out there where persons pay $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 just to be able to get that. And if that is the case, then you're defeating the whole purpose of the whole thing.
Well, I don't have any issue with the stringent or the apparent stringent measures to attain one. Mm-hmm. I think access should be stringent if it's fair and applied to all. Right. It can't be hard for me and easy for you yes. by virtue of just economics. Mm-hmm. Right? Correct. Because you have money and I don't. Right. That criteria seems to be a little off. Yes. Good? However, we do understand that maintenance of something like that, just like if you see just a random guy, if you see what might be a street dweller driving a Benz, you're going to ask yourself some questions, right? Good? You might assume that. When you ask him where you working and he says, so, you mad or I mad? It look like I working. So then you ask him, how are you maintaining this Benz? And I make that analogy to say, I don't assume that anything about maintaining a firearm is $5. Right?
That's not what maintain a firearm.
Meaning?
You just clean your firearm and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, but but it's surely not like buying a water gun by Sing Chong.
Well, once you buy it, it's yours. You don't have to do nothing again. You just maintain it, you clean it, you know.
Yeah, but what you working with? What you working with battery?
No, but how often you buy bullets? You probably might never buy ammunition for it because you have one box ammo for it. You had to buy it. And how much for which you have it? You never had to use it. It never arose.
And how much for a box? $5?
Them things are so expensive.
Yeah, but it can't be. It can't be that it doesn't come.
So it's not. You're talking about the maintenance as if it is like to maintain a Benz. It's not like
no. I'm not comparing it. I'm saying there's a responsibility there.
Responsibility.
All right.
Right. That's a different thing.
All right. So if a man filling out your list to buy one, and you ask him where he working, if he employed, and he say no, he's not employed, you will take that just as normal. He's not employed. All right.
Yeah, a man who filling out to get one,
yeah,
he's not employed.
Yeah.
But you have to be living. So how you living? Well, you're unemployed. You're self-employed.
He's not self-employed. He's just not employed.
He's not employed.
He works the way.
He's a carpenter.
That is somebody who's self-employed. But the point is, I don't have issue with the stringent measures if it applies to all. And I think that has been the issue some members of society have been having. It seemed to have different regimes and different criteria for different people. The criteria for you is not the criteria for me. And past access, we talk about responsibility. I forget mine by the bar, they take mine and they take it away from me. You brandishing yours all over the avenue, and you doing that for years. You know the difference between me and you? Money. So when it comes to the responsibility, because look, take the alleged accusation that the callers have talked about with the gentleman shooting just a homeless man. Even if that is on video, Mr. Matheson, I posit that something should happen the next day.
What was on video is a man crash his car, put his hand out the car, right? And it was gone down in a hail of bullets, about probably 3,000 bullets he get, right? And that more long, about 6 months ago?
That wasn't 6 months. It seems like 6 months, but it's not 6 months.
How long?
I don't know.
That could have been about 6 months, right?
No, we only in April.
But
We only in
the investigation is done yet?
No.
And we see everything.
Investigations they take a while ago.
We saw everything that made that you can make up. You can make a case at least to charge somebody on, right? A man had his hand out up in the air. Not even on John Wayne on them West End. They used to do that. They used to tell you walk, count, or whatever, and you draw. If you have a firearm, this wasn't the case. A man pop his hand up in the air. Both hands. We saw it. Both hands. You can't shoot at your foot. Both hands in the air. And that investigation is still going on. Why that investigated? Why? At least for the murder. Why that investigate?
Why are they doing it? That is not what annoyed the public. What annoyed the public was that while they're doing whatever they're doing, magic, any whatever they're doing, what happens in the interim? Something should happen. I didn't say lock them up. I would be very facetious to suggest something like that. But that type of act comes with a particular type of responsibility. And the responsibility to act. Pending whatever, like anybody else.
Correct.
Pending whatever else you derive with.
And I know you do a lot of investigation. I know you do.
Yeah.
You understand law.
Yes.
Thing. I don't know nobody who, but that kind of sense will say anything different.
Yeah. You don't get to walk wrong like we may not put you in jail, but you guys can't walk wrong like sheriff while these things happening.
But that's a serious thing.
It's a very serious thing.
And any workplace, you will know if somebody do something that goes to the root of the employment contract, gross misconduct and thing, and you have to do an investigation, and more than likely the person will be suspended. An investigation would pay, of course, because the investigation will be pursued.
And it is the failure to deal with these things and other things have triggered a cadre of mass shootings in the public, in other societies, and in workplaces, where, while you talk about the arms of justice turn slow.
You remember the George Floyd incident in the U.S.?
Yeah.
That could have one of that.
While
people in Trinidad was supporting that.
Yeah.
It's part of that movement, as a matter of fact.
Quite from here.
But nothing.
So we do have a responsibility to act, and I was just wondering, in our domestic scenarios, if we are being totally proactive. Good? Now you might say, I like the word you use, data, but are we really guarding on the data? Are we have, how much suicide we had lately? We just had a soldier, you see the young soldier boy, have we sat down and asked the relevant questions? Why would this young man take his life? What might have been the factors? Let me hear even if it's the anecdotal, well, and you realize somebody always know, but that information doesn't always surface. What would have been the antecedents that pushed this young man to kill himself? Do we have reports of him talking to a social worker, somebody in the work? He's a soldier. Do they have the arms within the defense force and the military, not just to intervene, but to really treat with workers who just, they can't make? I'm putting it blunt. Either the surveillance car by the house, either pressure from the spouse, but they can't make. Listen to me. He crying out for me. He can't make. But he have a Galil. Debts rising high. The back pay ain't coming. He ain't got no 10%. Things just happening. Wife ain't taking the fact that you can't provide too easily. She's had to seek help. And the help you gain is not the help you want. and you carrying a firearm.
I wonder if men, there's no kind of risk.
Yeah.
The kind of risk that we get, they'll be exposed
Correct.
to going wrong some moment.
Yeah. And the kind of risk that sometimes, comes with jobs like law enforcement. I don't know if we stress in the vetting process the psychological effect, the mental health. Do we screen for mental health? No, they always say it have more mad people outside than inside. But do we consider those things seriously? Because those types of jobs, not for any and everybody. Especially if you're coming home after 4 o'clock. Good? You might have been working in the bank. That is all right. You're a teacher. That's better. But when you put on this uniform and you have to be in your house, you see in your house Thursday. By the time you go on in the shop for bread, man, like, look, he coming. Look, he coming. Good, you're going to hold the stress of these jobs. Good? And you have a firearm and you just studying, boy. What I going to do, boy? As you say, if I can't have she, nobody will end up having she. I ain't going through that. I's a big corporal. How they going to be laughing at the corporal? They can't get kicks off the corporal.
As a man who, when you obviously going home by you.
Yeah, the man ain't in the force. That man ain't working. That man have a little waka. Good, but the stresses on the job, are they being? I don't know how their work is organized, but they have highly stressed job.
You making a serious case here for these uniform men, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
I don't think that's how this happened, but there are the other situations.
Well, whether it's happening to them or not, the fact is they have highly stressed job, and the crime rate will tell you that. The crime rate in Trinidad will tell you that, being a police officer in 1965 is not 2026.
I think in them time, police station is closed.
With your short pants. Good. They say you used to tell the man go in the station and wait for you. Not today. Not today. So it just begs the question whether we are protecting ourselves or whether we're protecting our workers and our members of society sufficiently with this whole firearm thing. It's easy to say stand your ground. But some people coming in your house for that, for the firearm. We're going to a break, however. We'll join you on the next side of the break. We'll switch the discussion. Stay tuned for more on the Third Empire.
Yes. You've got bills to pay, and so do we. Let's go pay some bills on the street 919 FM.
What are you doing? Big D, big fun, KFC, so we big on the ground. The big nation, cause you don't know we were the crown. Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Come to KFC, let we hold our vibe, and let we join together, because KFC is life.
It's a big D. Say what you want, KFC, so we lead in front. We are big nation, TNT and KFC, one motion.
Wrap up your Thursday the right way. Twister Thursdays. 2 twisters for just $54.95. Loaded, saucy, finger licking good. One bite and it must be KFC. Order now. Follow KFC Trinidad and Tobago WhatsApp channel for all the deals.
Better living starts at Furniture Plus. Get up to 50% off on furniture, appliances, mattresses, and more. Plus free gifts with select purchases and just $1 down on credit plans. Don't wait. Visit Furniture Plus today.
There's some advice when you hear it, you know one time is good advice. My granny tell me a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea first thing in the morning does wonders for the body. Good and natural ginger tea in its single-size packets is excellent for flavoring your cooking, salads and desserts. But what was news for me is when my granny say a hot cup of good and natural ginger tea helps with nasal congestion and colds, stomach problems, migraine headaches, and it's really good for arthritis in the body. Made from freshly crushed ginger root to get that strong ginger taste and aroma so soothing. Good and natural ginger tea available with or without sugar, so all you need is boiling water to get a cup going. As the old people say, don't take flambeau to see the night what you could see clear in the day. Good and natural ginger tea. Good advice to start your day right.
Hi there, I'm Lester Suglal, inviting you to join me on the first, second, and third Saturday, 8:30 p.m. to 11 p.m. for the program Slow Gospel Music, and on the fourth and fifth Saturday from 8:30 p.m. for an extended version of Slow Gospel Music on Street 91.9 FM.
Is a whole lot of flavor wrapped up in a twist. Some of them try to rap, but they don't rap like this. With crispy KFC tenders and lettuce and carrots and shredded tortilla embedded, perfect wherever you headed. Dripping with that creamy mayo and that mambo sauce. Let me tell them one more time to get my point across. It's a craveable, crunchable, movable, functional, flavorful meal that your taste buds must endorse. KFC, crunch twist, crunch twist. None of them, they don't make it like this.
Introducing KFC's Crunch Twist, a flavorful wrap with a delicious difference for just $29.95. KFC, it's finger licking good.
Share the live. Share the live. The Street 919 FM on Facebook and Instagram. Share the live. Iowa George on Instagram. Share the live. Iowa TV and Street TV on YouTube. Share the live. The Street 919 FM.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, well, it's the final hour of our program, and usually in this hour we kind of like change the topic to talk about maybe some international affairs, some HR, something that is different. I don't know what you think about Trump and Jesus. I saw Trump and Jesus being best friends. They were featured in a picture together. What do you think about Trump and Jesus? And the fact that he's now saying that Pope Leo is not the best pope. Because he and Jesus are friends. What do you think about that, Ronaldo?
Well, he's been calling him weak on crime, and he accused the Pope for catering to the radical left, rather than being a political, spiritual leader, you know? Mm-hmm. Pope Leo, as we know, is the first US-born Pope, you know? Who criticized the administration's war on Iran as atrocious. Mm-hmm. And he condemned the use of Jesus' name to justify violence. Mm-hmm. Trump faced backlash for sharing and then deleting on social media a post depicting himself in a Jesus-like image, telling reporters that he thought it depicted him as a doctor.
You don't think that fella like he deranged, but I mean something wrong with that guy.
Listen to me. You have politicians in extremes.
Trump really off the rail, but I mean
this is
Netanyahu is Hitler incarnated, and Trump, I don't know, there has never been a leader of the free world that is unhinged as Donald Trump, sitting in the position as president of America.
But let me ask you this on a very controversial front. And I wonder if my mother is listening. I hope she's not listening. Historically, what has been the church's record with war?
Well, I mean, if we go back from slavery, I think it was
what has history told us?
One of the popes with war.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't say. I don't know the history. But I know the popes has been very, very instrumental in speaking up against or sometimes supporting, like, for instance, slavery, go and enslave the infidels, you know, to some extent, either supporting not war efforts, but support to some extent, giving some kind of support or credence to the cause of war and that kind of thing. What is your history? What is your history?
Well,
tell you about?
the church traditionally, even from the Roman days, have been very heavily involved in war. As a matter of fact, some wars were fought for that, and I'm talking about the church as a religious body.
Yeah.
In that name.
So now they're not supporting the Israel situation for obvious reasons. I mean, we are seeing, any rightful thinking person understanding what's going on there in the Middle East, even those that found themselves victims to Iran asymmetrical attacks, they too does not support or did not support what's happening in Israel with America and Iran. So it's no surprise that the Pope will have a problem with it. Almost all of Europe doesn't support it.
He said that he is not afraid to take on the politician, and he will continue to speak out against war in any form.
So what Trump want to do? Just like how he wanted to attack the Hague, he want to attack the Vatican?
Well, I don't know. I don't know.
What I could tell you is that things are going woefully wrong with our war on America and Trump.
That I agree with.
Right? And
well,
I don't know how.
Let me say they're not going as he thought it was going to happen.
And it's interesting that they haven't find a reason to bow out and say, well, look, listen, this is making sense for us, and we win, and we going home and forget about everything.
Well, I thought if you won, you would want to go home.
But I thought so too. But let me take this call. Good evening, caller.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Good afternoon to your listeners. As you on this topic with Trump and the Pope, I just want to ask: is the strait open or the strait closed?
It close open.
The straight close open right now.
No, because I watch it, and some vessels getting turned back this way, and China like it have a free pass.
As they should.
No, but if they so okay, it opened to China and closed to other persons.
Yes. Go
All
Paul
right,
Lock is not see Paul Lock.
Thanks for clearing it up, sir.
When people have to realize that when we mention China and Russia, you have to look at the rules differently. Don't mention, you can't talk world politics and just look China and Russia doing it. You're not comparing apples with apples when you're doing that, because they play by their own rules.
Correct.
And one thing about world powers, they recognize world powers. So the same reason why China and Russia is not getting directly involved in anything is the same reason why Mr. Trump is making sure that they are accommodated in some fashion. And that is not compromise. That is being smart. Because you don't want them to join in the existential war. You don't want Russia. Russia is benefiting.
They're joining already, but you don't want them to join in.
Not on that scale, yeah. Russia is already making the mint, and they're keeping their eyes on the money and the money in their eyes. And as long as you do that and leave Ukraine alone, they're fine. Russia has big plans for Taiwan. Sorry, China has big plans for Taiwan. And as long as you forget Taiwan and you do what you're doing, all you're fighting over there.
Well, America is not that. America can't really afford to forget Taiwan, because it is also existential for America also.
Yeah.
With the fact that Taiwan produces these kind of nanochips and that kind of thing.
Yes.
But what America would not like to see that invasion before they are able to replicate what Taiwan is doing in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Outside of that, Taiwan is of no importance to America. And Taiwan, for some reason, don't even realize that. America also, even under Biden, would have said that they still understand or they still adhere to the one China policy, and for which Taiwan is part of, right?
Yeah.
But they are doing the same thing that they want to do with Ukraine to Russia, which is to arm Taiwan and all that kind of thing. So, but the thing is, that will work out. I think China is smiling right now, and for good reasons, because America is depleting its ability to fight any war with China in any case. And China is saying, listen, when we're ready to do what we had to do, we'll do it. But in the meanwhile, I think the person who is benefiting the most from this war is Russia.
Yeah.
By any imagination, any stretch of the imagination. Let me take this caller again.
Yeah.
Good evening, caller.
Yeah, Mr. Alex.
Yes, sir.
I kind of agree with the statement, accommodating, or the term you're using, accommodating, because America is not accommodating China. What they are actually doing, in my opinion, is not interfering. And it comes on the heel of Donald Trump saying he's going to close the strait, and the president of China making a public statement as it relates to if any U.S. open fire on any Chinese vessel, then there will be a heavy price to pay. But I don't think America is doing any accommodating. What they are actually doing is weighing their opponents. Don't mind that they have already bitten off more than they could chew going at Iran, because they don't understand that bombs cannot kill an ideal. Bombs cannot kill a mindset, right? On the contrary, what they have done is actually strengthen the mindset of the people of Iran, right? And there will be no good end to this for America, right? Because they have already exposed themselves for the entire world to see. So whether they manage to stop the war now or continue, I don't see a healthy end for the U.S., especially seeing that the time of any president is limited. I don't know if Donald Trump going to clone himself and remain in the White House forever. But surely, I will leave it there.
Well, one of the things, thank you, caller. One of the things that this war has exposed is America's weakness, right? In military and in everything. America weakness in military. America spend the most money, more money than anybody else, more money than China and Russia put together in military. And clearly, the amount of money it costs to replenish the interceptors and everything that Israel is using, which are Americans and America is using, is astronomical when it compares to what it costs China and Russia. So if cost is prohibitive, then it means that you can't fight no war against them guys, because those guys will have plenty more than you have. And not only is it prohibitive, but it takes a very long time to replenish them. So America is, one, proving itself that it is weakening itself, right? One. And two, you went into a war that you didn't understand in the first place. You didn't understand the opponent. You underestimate the opponent in a significant way, right? And that is dangerous. So you're naked right now. What do you think?
I want to get back to my contentious bone with the relationship between religion I've changed my wording. And war.
And church and politics.
Well, that is a corollary of it. Because even in Africa, even in the Middle East, a lot of what is going on now with Iran is also religious.
Yes, it is.
You know that?
Yeah.
Their view of Zionism and Zionists and all these things are not just political and Western. You know, it has to do with Westernization and Western ideology and beliefs and way of life.
Well, they don't see Western ideology as anything that is of any significant cultural meaning to them, simply because
they condemn it.
The Western is that's new world kind of thinking. They have hundreds of thousands of years of history.
Yes.
As compared to America, and you know, America is just 200 years.
Yeah.
Right? There are thousands of years of history. Right? So when you compare to some of the things that have been destroyed, even in Iran, those things are hundreds of thousands of years old history, historic. And so their whole ideological perspective of living and culture and everything is far different from how we see things in the West.
And I'm taking Mr. Trump out of the discussion because for me that's an outlier of where I want to go. I am zeroing in on the Pope's discussion about violence. And I wonder if religion / the church in its plurality, I'm not getting into the denominational, whether it be good. So I will take religion even as Muslim extremists, as jihadists or whatever. Have we not always had a relationship with violence in one way or the other?
Yes. I mean, the church...
For one cause or another.
The church came out of that to a large extent.
Yeah.
Right?
The Reformation.
Yeah. Came out of that part to
Yeah.
a large extent. But the thing is, even when you read the Bible and you read the history of the Promised Land and that kind of thing, you'll notice that...
The Israelites, the Jews, wars, killings.
A lot of violence.
Yeah.
I mean, go and take the land and kill everything and kill everybody.
But even in modern day, when you look at the Boko Haram and what is going on in Africa, even between the quote-unquote Christians and Muslims, good? It is serious violence. In South Sudan, it's serious violence. You know? And this is not because of the PNP versus the UNC, you know. Let me just I just call in parties. It is not really party politics that is always at the center of it, you know. It's religious.
Yeah. We see things from a very different perspective. And we kind of like oversimplify things. We have a different perspective. We don't understand the antecedents of certain things and why it happened and that kind of thing. So we talk, even us here, sometimes we talk just from an emotional position without understanding why certain things happen, right? And why it has to happen too.
And why I mention this, right? And I want us to be very critical in thought, not in words and not attacking anybody. The Pope is going to Africa. Right? If he's not there already, where it is cited as the fastest growing Catholic movement.
Unfortunate, but okay.
But we know as a continent the kind of genocides and killings. I mean, for all intents and purposes, our attention is in the Middle East, huh? But even when the Middle East on holiday, Africa or some part of Africa is under siege.
And this is why we see what we call communist countries and that kind of. I think Russia is probably one of the most stable. I just saying, and China too. I think they are some of the most stable, and they do what they have to do for reasons, right? Because they believe in the same thing we're talking about here, but just different perspective.
Yeah.
Right? I think the way they run their countries. I mean, it is the same thing Rousseau and Hobbes and all of them, those guys said. They have laws, they have systems, and they understand why it is necessary and why it is necessary to do certain things and have certain things under control.
So I wonder if the Pope is going to Africa and will, in the same breath, condemn all the religious and ethnic wars that are present. Remember, this is going on, you know. Mm-hmm. Our camera just on Iran. Mm-hmm. But these things have not stopped or abated. Mm-hmm. They are constant, they are consistent, and sometimes they have a little pause, and then you hear they fly up again. Is he going to do that on the African continent?
I don't know.
Is he doing it on the African continent? Is he going to?
I don't know.
Because he has come out with an anti-violent stand, which is fair in his stance as the Pope. Mm-hmm. But that's easier said than done, even for religious reasons. Mm-hmm. Because it is the same ideology that Iran has, that the Zionists and hedonist Jews should not exist. The Jews have the same in defense. Good? So they have come out and say, listen to me. Both are we fighting, but you have a bad dog. But you can't control your dog. You admit openly you can't control your dog. The dog also say, me listening to you. The dog come out and say, don't study with my master. But he ain't really no master. I not listen to him. Israelites come and say, we go control the dog. As a matter of fact, we have to put it down. But how you come in my yard? That are not to be care where we have to go. You see that dog? You say you used to ask that who born belly cat. And you have to find the cat to bell it, eh? You have to go wherever the cat to bell it. And I'm saying it is okay to have this anti-war and anti-violent stand looking at Iran and what's going on.
So in saying all that, it would be interesting to hear what you had to say about Netanyahu. And do you feel that Netanyahu is dealing with a cause, or he see what's happening as existential, or he is just a man who wants to, wipe out everything from...
In my humble view, Netanyahu is an Iranian Jew. He's extremist in his own right. He practices just what he condemns. Not poise, not reason. He practices what he condemns just on the opposite side. So he's extremist.
So you're saying that the Iranians are extremists?
Yeah.
Why would you say that?
What do you mean?
Where's the evidence of that?
But Stephen, you should understand. Do you understand the Muslim and the Arab world? Mm-hmm. And do you understand that they are extremist Muslims in terms of institutionalized? There's an Arab world, right? There are other Jordan, there are other Arabs all over the place, right? They are extremists in their practice. Nobody has been involved and openly involved, and this must be rumor, because this is not rumor, because you read in state-sponsored terrorism. Iran is very open about that.
Yeah, well, look, with all of that, there are antecedents.
No, that's not the point. We're not talking about the cause. We're talking about the stand they have taken. So the other Muslims would have said, "Let we talk about it. We might argue about it." Iran say, "We go kill you." We not the talk type. You see the talk type, they oversaw. You see you see those other type, we not those type, right? And I don't want to label everybody, because I don't like to make those kind of generalizations. But in the Muslim world, right? In the Muslim world where they are, because they're among their brothers, that whole block with Oman and Yemen, that is not Catholic territory or Western Christian territory, The most of those countries that belong to the Arab League. But not all are extremists. And it's the same thing. Now we feel that extremism, right, lie only on one side. But I am saying, I think Netanyahu is an extremist in his own right. He is not going to, he does not believe in my view, proportionate and proportional attacks.
You want to take a man, you blow up a whole city.
A whole city. And we have seen that demonstrated in Palestine, in the Gaza. We have seen it in Lebanon. And we have even seen it in Iran. For want of a better word, I think they sometimes, in their rhetoric, because I want to give them the benefit of the doubt.
Take this caller. 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 Good evening. Yeah, big man. Good evening. I feel we had to invite you in the studio, you know.
Based on Mr. Rollock's description of extremists, then Mr. Trump and the U.S. could fall in that category.
I agree with you. I agree with you. No problem in taking that.
No longer should we be placing Iran in a category by themselves without mentioning other persons who are equally and even in some cases more guilty of being extremist states.
Correct. And I have said that I find Netanyahu as a leader to be very extremist. And he's been, you know, they call him the far right. How far is far? Very far right.
Be careful, you know. You have your cell phone here out there, they could blow up this station here.
I pose no threat to them. But I agree with you, caller. We feel that extremism has one color. But it doesn't. Especially not any longer. Because even for what you may call a good cause, some people might be very extremist.
So what Trump extremism is? Stupidity?
No.
Or
not being able to clearly identify.
You think he's intelligent?
I don't think you win. I don't think you reach that far by flukes, huh?
Really?
You think he's get flukes? Is flukes the president of America? You think he's get there by flukes?
If you have money and
alone,
you could pay away through.
It have plenty of people with money. He's not the richest man in America.
No, he was never the richest man. But if everybody believe he was the richest
no,
man,
I don't associate people who commit stupid acts with being stupid generally. And he is not a fool by any measure.
Really?
But no, I don't think so.
So you think Kim is a fool?
No, well, worse yet. No.
Right.
But look at how he acts.
But Kim call him an idiot. Kim call him a moron.
Yeah, because what Trump does is talk a lot. What Kim does not do, and Xi Jinping, you and even Putin, you realize they are very with their words. They don't go out and get on all emotional and.
So I feel Trump is a man who came into office and he always had this romanticism about the military,
about power,
the military and the strength of America and that kind of thing, and he saw them as their toys. So let me see how strong this is. Let me cause some war to show you how powerful we are.
My issue with your statement and people who analyze him in this way, he represents a view of a portion of America.
That is true. I agree.
He is not acting in singleness and, no, even for his own people, they are not as watching with Kokia and say partner.
No, but you're correct.
Yeah.
What Trump became very relevant because there are a lot of people in America who think just like how he's thinking.
And he does what everybody thinks. Not everybody, I mean that group. You have people who will think it, and you have people who do it. Sometimes you see somebody do something and you say, boy, you really do that? No, you were thinking the same thing, but in your mind, you will never do that. You will never do that. He's the fella who will do it. You know when you're in school and I slap me now, lash me now, and nobody doing it except this one fella who come and slap him. That is him.
Paula, what do you think?
Well, I think Donald Trump is engaged in a lot of foolish actions.
Correct.
As Mr. Rollins rightfully say, he is not the foolish one, The foolish people are the ones who continue to allow persons with that type of characteristics to lead them and not attempt to speak truth to power.
So you're saying the people of America is foolish then?
Not everybody,
many
but
of them.
yeah.
Many of them.
Yeah.
You see, when you listen to many of these talk show hosts who are pro Donald Trump, right? Words tend to lose meaning. People cannot articulate properly.
They can't tell you one reason why they're supporting him.
And they are all over the place because he too is all over the place, right? They will defend one stance today and have to change or make an entire 180-degree turn tomorrow because Donald Trump changes his mind. And those people are the fools. Because as Rollox rightfully say, his actions may be calculated, although in the minds of people who really thinking straight, is really foolish action because the end of it is destruction nonetheless, right? But the people who continue to give this unearned support, and it's not just with Trump alone, we have it right here in Trinidad, on both sides of the fence when it comes to the red and yellow.
Yeah, caller, and I like where you're going because sometimes we see political action divorced from ourselves. How the prime minister so, and how this one so, and how the politicians so. You know, you was jumping up and down in our Jersey not too long ago. we get caught in the euphoria and not understand the consequences of our decisions.
Not just that, we assist them in moving the goalposts.
Correct.
This is why Ms. Prasad Bisesa could campaign for the entire election about Dr. Rowley is a liar. And as soon as she get in office, how many lies she told so far?
But Dr. Rowley was a liar?
Yes, I'm saying yes. But what I'm saying is, how many lies have Ms. Prasad Bisesa come into office and told thus far? It is people who belong in the same bucket, but they stand opposite each other and tell each other about the bucket that they are in.
Yeah.
And we foolishly go along with that and then say, hey, both all in buckets, you know.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we will escape that trap, but it's working real good down here. It's working real
Caller, what do you think about this stance with the church being anti-violence and that anti-violence campaign as proposed by the Pope and being quite correct? How do you view that?
Well, I think that the Pope is within his right to, based on his opinion and his view, to try to speak some sense into the matter, right? Notwithstanding that you had religious wars and all kind of different things in the past, but because something is conventional or has become conventional or the norm, doesn't mean that we shouldn't press against it or try to find a better way out of it. So the Pope is within his right.
Okay.
If he sees the war to be nonsensical because the strait was open, and then you say you win, you achieve this, you achieve that, and now we reach to your 2 weeks ceasefire, and then you're threatening to annihilate the whole civilization, then you're threatening to block the strait, but it ain't blocked, it halfway blocked. And to what end? To what end? So rightfully, the Pope made his view available for everyone. And I don't know if Donald Trump feel that if you disagree with him, you're supposed to tape down your mouth and go along to get along. But they will find that many persons in the world are not afraid of power and will face whatever consequence come, right? To stand up to power. It is an ideal that will not die, just like how the ideal of the Iranians will not die. We may not have seen a lot of persons coming up in society like what it had in the past to have us experiencing some of what we're experiencing today. But it's still alive and well in the minds of a number of people out here. And time alone will tell. Time alone will tell. But I support the Pope in that regard, in terms of speaking his mind to Donald Trump, who feel like wherever he say goes.
Yeah.
Thanks for allowing me.
The Pope is like everybody else who are seeing that nothing about this whole thing made sense in the first place, right? First, June last year, you went into Iran for the same reason. You bomb follow, you say that you decimate Iran nuclear ambitions and that kind of thing. They know they can't do nothing again. That was the reason why I do it. When we know that you only had a ceasefire because Iran had started retaliating and they started destroying Israel to the point where they felt that they needed some time to replenish. They got that, and Israel now felt as though she can do what she wanted to do all the time again and destroy Iran. And between Netanyahu and Trump, they devised a plan to take out, to decapitate the leadership of Iran, and they did so. They thought they did so. They thought that but they didn't know that they had to do that. They had to kill a cause, right? And an ideology and a philosophy, which they couldn't. So, but you went in with on the same premise that Iran, the same thing you say, destroyed, and they have no choice. They had no chance of gaining again. It's the same premise you went in again to do. So who in the world could have believed that? And obviously the Pope saw that. The Pope saw right through that the same way like you and I seen it.
Yeah. Yeah, and the Pope says he will not be intimidated, and rightly so. And he wouldn't be silenced, and rightly so. He has his role to play.
Let's take this call. Good evening, caller.
Mr. Margaret, good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
Gentlemen, next week. Just came home and realized that the radio was a bit low.
Yeah.
So I could, excuse me, sorry. Could a little piece of the last gentleman. But I want to pounce on something that you just stirred in my mind. The Vincentian president stirred in my mind. And is it Mr. Norman Dildial, Commander Dildial? Put in my trend of thought, and I put them together. I have a prime minister. Following a man dictates. That man gave a lady the impression that she would become president of Venezuela. She got a Nobel Peace Prize. And somewhere along the conversation between she and Trump, she decided that she's going to give Trump her Nobel Peace Prize because he wanted one, right? And he couldn't get one from them, so he got one from her. Lo and behold, when she expected now to become president of Venezuela, he said, nah, she ain't ready yet. Okay. Up comes our prime minister. Dictates of Trump. A matter in the Caribbean. Murders have stopped in Trinidad and Tobago because of that. And I have a few people died, or one or two from Trinidad and Tobago died. But then, I have a vote. The entire CARICOM is a large body. And they have a voice in the UN, not so? They have a vote. And if I am able to control the leader of CARICOM and have the entire CARICOM sing along the same song that Trump is singing, Trump would have backings that he would, if he comes out of office, might not be able to be drawn before the International Criminal Court. Because my prime minister telling me all you don't have to fight in Venezuela ain't going and doing nothing, but when we watch at what Iran do to Israel and all the other countries around them, all of a sudden now they're telling me that they're fighting out Islamic groups because you tie yourself with Trump. And maybe what happened to the journalists in Iran or Afghanistan or wherever that was kidnapped a few days ago, you saw that? The female journalist? Yeah. So all of a sudden Trump tell them, you're going to Trinidad and Tobago, all you have to be careful. Born American citizens, and my administration telling me that they're going on after ISIS and this one and that one and that one and that one and that one. Because of drinking Trump juice and the sleeper cells could be activated. Have me in Trinidad and Tobago now screeching because I have to ask myself if some of them people who send people to Syria is sleeping cells in Trinidad and Tobago. You understand what's happening here? That's what's going on here, you know, because of the chum juice and the chump rhetoric she's been singing. She want to know if she wake up the sleeping cells in Trinidad and Tobago. Because they want to get CARICOM to side along with Chump in order to vote in the UN. So they decided, oh, we want the lady out. Let she go, because she ain't making no sense. Because why? Our Prime Minister term is supposed to come up shortly. That is the kind of thing we're doing here, Mr. Matterson. Enjoy your evening, gentlemen.
I am patient to see where all those relationships are going.
How it's going to benefit us.
Yeah.
Good evening, caller.
Good evening, caller. Oh, my cousin Ronaldo. I pull back the tape and tell me you see my steps training?
Steps?
Yeah, my number. I say what is my number?
Oh, yeah. I wanted a number. I wanted the politicians to hear because they'll be listening to us. I wanted the politicians to hear your number and they'll call you because some people say you're hurting.
Do what? I have read politician number on my phone. Them here, them here, and I feel like they here. They want to hear what they want to hear. But God hear me things in the making. But there's no politician side there, because they know how to fight. I just go there and I just get it. Because who feels it knows it, and they can't put nobody out there. Because we live in a doggy world, and nobody likes nobody out there. Well, I'm saying now, this former man was working there, and we want to call Kingsley. I'm going to tell you how wicked and evil black people is to black people there. I remember a certain MP. I'm going to say something, and when I go to the MP, she tell me somebody cut out her tape and said to she cyber talking, she read her cyber talking on the radio. I said that's crying out for opportunity and betterment, and I see people who will fight and toil like me. You cannot political work I do. I mean getting that kind of assistance. You know that I was on a different program. Kingsley cut out the tape. And now send it for me because he blocked me about a month ago, cut out the tape and send it back to me. I want to go and send it to the minister and them know if he won't benefit. That is the same one who was crying and boy, the UN never left me. I left the UN. That fella said the worst about the honorable Prime Minister come up and say, I feel like it's the best UN. I never fluff, you know. I want UNC joke because I show them all our support. I mean getting that representation, I mean getting that kind of love. I have picked up with MPs hooking up and kissing up and this and that. And now they feel like they give me the face. Like they use me politically. I know the one who's silencing and suffering in silence, and I come out and talk. Because people go silent, who do suicide, who is run in front of our bus. So all who suffer in silence only come out and talk. Because I was talking for the last 9 years and singing.
So you
and everybody liked me while I was staying on this particular radio station here.
KFC used to be on the radio?
I will go and back to all of them.
KFC used to be on the
so
radio?
So Kingsley Hall. Oh?
You used to be on the radio or you was just a calling person like no?
I was just a caller. I the man who said about fire burn the wicked last regime. KFC Aisha Wells. Give me that name. She said it was strip. I buy KFC getting free internet. And I harassing Dr. Rowley and the Prime Minister, and I build a whole name on that thing, and everybody like me now. I had to backup singers, you know. Mm-hmm. You know all of them left me. I go on and is the boss, you know, but I'm only not strong. Thank God I have a beautiful wife. 13 years that we going strong, and tonight beautiful challenge. They must keep me strong and make me motivated. I know pass me, I feel all over going through,
Alright, okay.
Bless.
Thanks. Politics is ahead of I think.
You getting a man of fire?
Eh?
You getting a man of fire?
He might go and shoot a politician.
This is my point. This is my point.
On them
Who's me? Listen.
Yes, and on both UNC and PNM right now.
In this game of cricket, the pavilion can't get caught up in it.
Nah.
You wouldn't sleep. You know, some people do back West Indies because they say West Indies ain't good for the heart. Because they can't sleep. You understand? Some people, when they set up to watch a match, if they win, they burn down the house.
To beat up their neighbor.
Yeah. It just goes to show how we get affected by the decisions that we make the decisions.
Yeah.
You know? Which really actually collective decisions at the end of the day. But we feel it at the end of the day.
You see, and it's not just Trinidad. People worldwide have become mature enough, and I was saying this last night, have become mature enough to understand what is electoral politics and what politicians sometimes have to do to get in office. And politicians will do what they have to do to get in office. It's like you tracking a girl, and I made this statement last night. You're tracking a woman, right? I don't know. I don't track again. I don't have to track nobody again. But long time you're tracking a woman, and you really want to get through. So you tell a woman what you know she want to hear. But when you get through, you're not interested again. You don't care what she tell you again. And that's the thing with politicians. To some extent, not only that, and it's not only they don't want to hear, it's just that they probably overextended themselves, and what they said is they just can't afford to do it. One, they don't have the authority to do what they say they will do. They don't have the legislation to be able to do it. One, two, they don't have the country don't have the capital, the finance to be able to do it, and it's not prudent to do it. To give you're dumb as a downhill. I just saying this loosely. You're dumb as a downhill. You don't have what it takes to do what you want, what you're saying you want. Why will we put you there? Even though you help us get in office, why will we put you there? We had to find something that we could help you with. And that was the purpose of URP and CPEP and all that kind of thing. Unfortunately, not there again.
Well, I await the revival of those things, or they say it was going to be done in a different way. So let's see what happens to that. They say it was shut down so it could be reformed, you know, in a much more productive way. Again, I await
an ex-politician calling here. Let me take this caller. Good evening, Bataya.
Good evening. Now, the gentleman that was sitting there yesterday with you made a statement that the present gentleman just made. Petrotrin could have been restructured. But you know, nobody is saying. The same people who selling here for 9 or for 5 years, Petrotrin could be restructured. But you know when they come into office, and they were going on there, Petrotrin, I don't tell me nothing about Caroni. Caroni and Petrotrin were sailing in the same boat. Because I working as a mechanic, and my father was working in Caroni before he did buy an old Land Rover at auction. But I is a mechanic now. Caroni have a fleet of Land Rover. I buy a set of dispatch for 4. But when I checked, I only had dispatch for 3. Because the mechanic take a set and carry home because his father did buy a Land Rover in an auction. So he take up the dispatch and he go on home. So right now I had a part of one out of the 4 I have a new street. In Petrotrin, I had to go out today. I called my partner and tell him I stay home. He go and work for me and he work the evening shift. Tomorrow morning, I will go out to work and tomorrow evening he wouldn't come out. And I will fill his position tomorrow evening. So I make up at double time, he make up at double time. That's not logic. Plus, on top of that, I had a man had a truck supposed to carry 8 liters. Let's join our reference. The truck tanker supposed to carry 8 liters, and he well on a piece, and then he find a way to get the diesel to go underneath to the next part, and he carrying out 2. So he thieving 2 liters. So when I check the truck, he's supposed to have 10 or 8. He had actually 12 or 10. That is where we are, Mr. Matheson. Because, you know, I have presently now a bill before the parliament for $300 and something million for houses. And you have a group of 11 contractors or 9 contractors going up for houses. Mr. Matters, do you know what the cost of one of those houses right now? Do you know where those houses or where those lands are going to be allocated to those sellers to build those houses? So I heard a junior minister, the Minister of Finance, made a statement about a man I was working for. He ain't called no name, but I know you are talking about. There are a group of people selling cloth and build houses. So it is all right to give a group of people who never build houses because of the PNM they give a man the same thing that they tell you was wrong then. Automatically becomes right now because the PNM did it then. So I have what do you call it? Private, these people are supposed to get the land and build the houses. So I ask the question, if them building the house, public-private partnership, right? All I had to give you is the land, right? Not so, Mr. Madison. If it's a public-private partnership, you don't have the land, but you have the money and everything to build the houses. Why must I give you now $100 million, Mr. Madison? Could you tell me why?
I don't know.
Anyone there? Because there's a public-private partnership. You go on to build houses for the state. Right? So here's my question. I remember there's a place called Victoria Keys that they was making all the past Vincentian Prime Minister. That was built for low-income owners. 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms. Let's say in the HDC you want to apply for that, your income per year might be $50,000 at that time. So if you're working for under $50,000, you have the chances of getting one of those houses in Victoria Keys. Up comes the People Partnership and Mr. Munilal decided that, hey, I want to look out across Westmall and have a view of the sea. This is not for a CPEP worker. And converted 2 bedrooms, 3 bedrooms into 2 bedrooms, and converted 2 bedrooms into 1 bedrooms and move it from anyway $500,000 to 1.2. Well, you could ask Mr. Gonzalez how much he paid for his own. So I asked myself this question. Since the minister, junior minister, could draw a reference to a man who was selling cloth and start building houses, if the same thing is going to apply, because the man still building houses, the same man I'm talking about, still building houses all about, all about. And he just buy land and build, what you call them, gated communities. And so I asked myself, is this administration taking my money to create businessmen like the same man who they say was selling cloth to build the same kind of house that he building for is a HCC house now going to be $1.2 million now, Mr. Matterson? I want to know, because I have no plans. I ain't seeing nothing to tell me what these houses are going to look like and who these houses are going to be catered for. But I have $300 million going out in our self-selected, that's how they term it. So I put out a thing for 10 people to bid, sole select. 10 people could put up for the job. But I, who put out the job, could select who I want for the job. That makes sense, Mr. Matterson, and tell me that it's fair across the board? And then tell me already tendering
But I don't know if this makes sense either. I don't know if building a house, spending government money to build a house for $1.2 million and selling it for $600,000 made sense.
Well, that is why it was considered. Hold on, Mr. Matthew. That's why. I understand your point, Because here what's going on. I just spend money for you to put gas in your car to come down to it. That makes sense. I subsidizing your gas all now. In order for me to feel good for this year, I take away $1 off your gas. You know what $1 million it costs? We had that conversation yesterday because they were going on Guyana right now, and Guyana is the richest English-speaking car, and they were out of gasoline. Where go leave for me? So better get a house than I get gas. Which one you prefer? House or gas? Mr. Matterson, which one would you prefer? Enjoy your evening, gentlemen.
Okay, have a good evening. Yeah, these politicians, man. The thing is, sometimes I don't understand how we did reach where we reach, because we didn't start off here.
Yeah.
But we reached here anyway. The thing is, as we were talking about the situation in the Middle East and the Pope and Jesus, Because Jesus is...
A lot of people call Jesus' name and a lot of things, eh? Good and bad.
Jesus reincarnated in Trump.
Yeah.
When you think about the kind of craziness you're seeing in the world today, you could understand why people will do things in public countries like Trinidad and Tobago and see it as normal.
I used to teach my first formers all the time the story of Christopher Columbus, who first tried to make them good Christians when he arrived by making them slaves.
Yes. But you know, it was the Pope who said, go on and slave the infidels.
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying to you. Despite the history, we understand that he has a duty to say the right thing as he believes. But we must understand that this story hasn't been totally white on one side.
It hasn't.
It hasn't, especially when it comes to, and I take religion in its plural form. I didn't want to, and I need not zero in on any particular religion. But even today,
your mother listening?
Some, I hope not. I may have to sleep by a friend. Even today, some religious people are not the most fond people. You know, and sometimes you wonder. You know? So that doesn't always tell us, you know? Or we might criticize Trump because he doesn't wear any garb and he talks and you kind of know where he coming from. Good? Because you could make him out. What about those who do this? What about those? What about those who dress a particular way or feel that how they dress or etc. They're very sanctimonious and etc. And the subtlety of it all. You know, I just find it ironic that he's in Africa now, and I would want to hear him and see how long he would last in Africa condemning violence. As he rightly should. As he rightly should.
But I still believe that religion and the Pope and everybody else like him have a place in society, and the Aristotle and all the philosophers spoke to that, and that is to create a certain kind of balance in society.
Because it has been well documented, the mafia's relationship with the church.
Yes.
It's well documented.
But today they create a certain balance in society. Bring about certain kind of sanity thinking, and that, well, I don't know if you understand the antecedents, you'll understand
I agree with you.
Why some people like yourself will have some problems with it, and me too.
Yeah.
But they have a purpose, and it is well served. So I still have a problem with the criticism by Donald Trump, who, in my view, is a madman too.
Yeah.
Who I have a problem with what he's doing and what he's saying. I see things very linear.
Yeah.
And when I looking at those kind of things, and I have a serious problem with things that are just illogical, right? But ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of the program. We just about 2 seconds away, so certainly we will want to continue this kind of discussion when we see you again tomorrow.
Tune in to the Street 919 FM for Gospel in the Bone Ministry every Sunday from 7:05 a.m. to 8:55 a.m. For the program, God's Last Warning Message. Hosea chapter 4 says, "Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because